She fought a coyote with a skillet, a true prairie survival story. It was the end of winter, but the cold hadn't quite let go. The wind still hissed under the door at night, and the ground was more ice than dirt. Our cellar was nearly empty, and we were all counting down the days to spring planting. We'd survived the season by the grace of God, a few sacks of beans, and one stubborn little hen named Rosie. My name's Jonathan Dawson, and this story, well, it happened a long time ago, when I was just a boy growing up on the edge of the prairie. But I remember it like it was yesterday. I was maybe 10, maybe 11, old enough to help Ma with the chores, young enough to believe a hen could be a hero. And after what happened that morning, maybe she was. Rosie wasn't much to look at. Rusty feathers, a limp in one leg, and a pecking habit that made her unpopular among the other animals. But she laid eggs, and after a winter like that, eggs were worth more than gold. Ma treated that bird like royalty. Every morning, she'd bundle up, trudge through the snow, and check on Rosie's coop before she even made coffee. Pa'd reinforced the gate 3 times. My little sister Annie sang lullabies to her through the slats like she was kin. We all knew if anything happened to Rosie, we'd be eating bark and regret for breakfast. Then came the tracks. I spotted them one morning near the edge of the field. Thin, sharp, too big for a fox. Pa crouched beside them, ran a hand through his beard, and said, "Coyote. Hungry one." That was all he said. But I saw the way his jaw tightened. It had been a hard winter for everyone, even the predators. That night we locked Rosie in tight. Ma double-latched the coop and hung a lantern nearby, just in case. Still, something in the wind felt off. The next morning, just before dawn, I woke to a sound I'll never forget. Not thunder, not wolves, but Rosie, squawking loud enough to raise the dead. Then came a crash, a sharp clatter, and then Ma's voice, fierce and fearless. "And you get away from her, you mangy coward!" By the time I got my boots on and ran outside, the scene was something out of a legend. There was Ma, in her nightgown, barefoot, standing in the yard with a frying pan raised like a sword, her breath rising in clouds. And across from her, not 10 feet away, was a scrawny, wild-eyed coyote. It wasn't growling, it wasn't moving, it just stood there, staring at Ma like it had just met the one creature on earth more terrifying than starvation. Rosie, feathers flying, had wedged herself behind Ma's ankles. I stood frozen. Pa came up behind me wide-eyed, holding a lantern. Even Annie, wrapped in a quilt, peeked through the door with a gasp. Then, without a word, Ma stepped forward. The pan swung in the air. Clang! Clang! Not on the coyote, but on the side of the water trough. The sound echoed through the yard like church bells on Sunday. The coyote flinched, hesitated, and then took off like a shot across the yard and into the trees. We didn't speak for a moment. Then Pa cleared his throat. You, all right?" Ma turned around, cheeks red, hair wild. "I wasn't about to let that flea-bitten beast take our last hen. I've fed this family all winter on her eggs. She's earned her protection." We nodded, silently. Rosie blinked at us from behind her, proud and completely unaware that she'd just used up her 9th life. Later that morning, we realized the coop latch hadn't failed. Rosie had gotten out on her own. Apparently, she'd managed to peck it loose and go wandering, right into trouble. For the next few days, Ma didn't speak much about it. But the morning after, as she cracked one of Rosie's eggs into the pan, she chuckled. She went looking for trouble, she said. Well, she found me instead. That story stayed with us. Ma, barefoot in the frost, Rosie squawking behind her, the coyote frozen mid-step like he'd seen a ghost in gingham. Annie drew a picture of it with Ma holding the pan like a shield. We pinned it above the stove, and every spring after that, Ma would shake her head and say, "Don't ever underestimate what a mother will do to protect her family, or her breakfast." We never saw that coyote again, but Rosie lived another 2 years. She kept laying eggs, and every now and then she'd limp over to Ma like they shared a secret. Maybe they did. If this story gave you a smile, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more, and share it with someone who knows the power of strong women, stubborn hens, and a kind of faith that doesn't back down. Next time, I'll tell you about the day Pa risked everything to keep a promise he made to Ma, and how it ended up saving his best friend's life. It's a story about loyalty, love, and what it really means to be a man of your word. But that's a story for another fire. And if you haven't yet heard the story of how Pa's quiet faith and kindness saved the whole town from starvation, check out The Man Whose Faith and Kindness Saved a Starving Town. It's one of the most powerful stories I've ever told, about courage, sacrifice, and what happens when you trust God and give, even when you have little. I promise it'll warm your heart even in the coldest season.